just want to welcome everyone to Basketball Victoria's Technical Officials Registration Platform webinar, part 2. Before we get started, Basketball Victoria would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the country throughout Victoria and pays respects to their elders past and present. We are respectful of the ongoing living cultures of Aboriginal peoples from all of the Victorian Aboriginal nations. I'd also like to personally thank everyone for giving up their time tonight to help better understand our new registration process and platform. If you have any questions, as I mentioned before, please put them into the private chat and we'll address them as we go through. So tonight, just want to give a bit of a background for those that haven't had any relevance to the process and platform. Then we'll talk through some of the roles and workflow that an association needs to understand, give a bit of an update to our current status and look at the feature requests that have been delivered so far. I'll then handball to John, who will give an update on the future roadmap and access to support. We'll then take a break to have some Q&A, and after that, Troy will give a live demonstration. So just to refresh everyone that Basketball Victoria partnered with refbook as a digital partner, and that forms part of our digital ecosystem, similar to Play HQ, TeamPay and Frankly. And we've engaged refbook because they're here primarily to service technical officials across the state and country and internationally, which is fantastic. Throughout this presentation, might refer to Federation and Child, and just thought it would be worth pointing out that the Federation is really referring to Basketball Victoria and the Child is referring to the association and/or incorporated branch. So this really was a Basketball Victoria driven initiative to design and build a centralised membership database with user-driven data. We wanted to create a payment gateway for both the Federation and Child and provide reporting functionalities. The first two we've delivered on to date, and we're at the beginning stages of providing that reporting functionalities, which John will speak to later. Still to come is to facilitate system-driven communications and build additional features to manage qualifications and licensing. So just to help people understand the roles required for a child organisation, the main person to start the process is the signatory. That's the decision maker for the child organisation. That can be a president, general manager, CEO, executive on the board. Then we want to have someone as the witness, and they'll witness the signing of the service agreement, which I'll talk to in the next slide. The primary administrator is given access to work within the system, and additional signers are there to support that primary admin within the system. So the workflow, for those that haven't already done so, the primary administrator would have already been sent an email to complete a child count registration form. If you have not received that email, please let me know and I will forward it to you. Upon filling out that account registration, you will then receive a service agreement from refbook, and that will go to the person that was nominated as the main signatory. Once that signatory signs the agreement, it then triggers an email directly to the witness, and that witness would then sign the agreement. It's important to note that each service agreement has an expiry date, so please make sure you sign it within that date. Once both people have signed the service agreement, refbook will then give access to the primary administrator, and that access allows the primary administrator to manage the membership list within the system. We want to make sure that the primary administrator understands that they are the main point of contact for BV and refbook in relation to this process. If they would like to add additional assigners, as I mentioned before, to help them, then they can do that within the system. So some of the stats at the moment is that we've got 141 child organisations set up in the system, and we have not included the summer-only organisations that primarily operate in the country regions, and they will become more relevant over the next couple of months. So of those 141, 60 child organisations have embraced refbook in the following ways. Sorry, I'm just admitting people as we go through. So they've uploaded their members. They've also updated their member categories, types and statuses. They've encouraged members to update their own profiles, including working with children's checks. and they've promoted the early bird registration period, which ends at the end of August. And we're really grateful to those organisations that have embraced this to date. There's still time for the remaining organisations to do so, and that's why we put this webinar on tonight, to make sure that everyone has an understanding of what they need to do. However, in order to not allow officials to miss out on the early bird discount because their organisation hasn't yet engaged with refbook, BV will be contacting those officials directly. We are using the original database that we had that isn't necessarily completely up to date, but that's all we can go off at the moment. Once we send them an email, they will be asked to complete an online form. Then BV will load them into refbook under their nominated association. They will then receive an invitation to join refbook, and that will give them access to pay once they accept that invitation. So obviously, it does create more work for the official, but we didn't want them to miss out on that early bird discount. So if anyone hasn't yet engaged with refbook and is using this webinar as the catalyst, then I really encourage you to reach out tomorrow, and we'll try and get you on as quickly as possible. So sorry, that will go out on Monday next week, that email to the referees. So some of the features, obviously refbook is been given a brief by Basketball Victoria on how we roll out this platform, but some associations requested a couple of things that we thought were really relevant to deliver earlier or actually not actually known to deliver. So refbook built a pay on the behalf feature, which has really been an amazing functionality that gives the child organisation flexibility to reward all members or specific members by paying on their behalf. Some associations have already started to use this feature, and all the feedback is that it's been really, really straightforward and simple for them to do, which is great. Anyone interested in that needs to let BV know, let me know, and we can set you up in the system to have that. Obviously, we recognise that some basic reporting was useful to the child organisations to understand what their members have and haven't done in the system, so that they can support us in making sure that the members are registered and paying their fees as required. So if anyone has any other feature requests that they would like to suggest, I'm going to send out an online form that you can complete, and that will provide refbook with some understanding of what you're looking at. Excuse me, just admitting. Now, obviously, there's going to be more reporting functionality coming out, but I'll let John speak about that as we go forward. Just as a friendly reminder, I think it's really important to note that whenever there's a change in process, it can cause a little bit of grief or lack of willingness for people to embrace. But we just wanted to highlight that the previous process was really outdated. We were actually going against privacy laws to maintain that process. So I just wanted everyone to understand that this is moving in a direction that we needed to move into. And, this system has really been built for Basketball Victoria's technical officials. So we want to make sure that even though there might be some bumps and bugs along the way, that we understand that we're delivering something to the state free of charge that really helps us as a federation and you as a child manage your officials in the correct way. Also, keeping in mind that it's a really complex landscape, the officiating world, because there's multi-roles and multi-branches. And more specifically to onboarding with refbook, we really had some understanding of some members were in refbook because they had the assignment feature already. Some had an account with refbook, but their association didn't have relevance. And some were done in the correct way with the association inviting the members. So refbook had to really come up with solutions to navigate each of those situations. So it wasn't a straightforward tick a box and register. I think it's important to also understand that this has been a phased approach. We obviously have delivered a couple of things that we intended to deliver by the end of August, and there's still a lot of features to come, which of course I'll hand over to John to talk to. And I just wanted to say to everyone, have some patience, definitely reach out to me. I'm very accessible in terms of helping you through the system. And I just wanted to thank everyone that has already done so and look forward to working with those that are yet to do so. So I'll pass over to John now.
Thanks, Joe.
No worries.
Okay, thanks everyone for their time tonight. Really good to be in front of the branch network again. So really keen to have a mix of content tonight. We'll start with some slides and some words from me, and then we'll get straight into the system. Understand that it'll be the first time that some of the branches will have seen the solution in action, but I think there'll be some organisations that wouldn't mind a refresher, and also an opportunity to ask us questions in real time, which can be collated via Jo, and then she can MC those questions and we'll walk through those in front of everyone. We're really excited where the progress is at to date. The implementation has been a success in refbook's eyes. It has been something that we're appreciative of, both the Federation and the branches taking hold of. Clearly, there's some things that we will be improving. There'll be some things that will drop in the system. There's some learnings that will go into the next release as well. But all in all, this has been quite a good rollout from a technology point of view. Tonight, the slides I've got covering the agenda, talking through the expansion of the features. Joe's already highlighted the most important thing to remember. This is always a tiered approach to developing product. That was allow us to get the most important things into market now when registrations are due, but it was also an opportunity for us to not commit to the actual feature, knowing that there would be feedback taken from both Basketball Victoria and the branches. So that phasing of development allows us to incorporate and quickly move on some of the ideas, suggestions and feedback we take at the early stage. So I'll talk to what's on the horizon for the refbook Lite platform. Reminder about the core features and the usage. And then I wanted to talk around the support that is available for branches. The available resources is a moving opportunity for us to deliver. And it's a combination of PDF materials, visual materials, and also online. So specifically, I wanted to talk to what is available now and walk through the online support centre, knowing that there's been some feedback from the branches around where should I be going to get my hit of instructional material and how do I work the support centre as well. After that, we'll throw straight to the demonstration. We'll walk through in real time the basic configuration that branches are required to do, and that'll be whether they only want to use refbook Lite for their own or for the Federation registration requirements, or if they would also like to adopt refbook Lite for their local registration fees. And then we'll finish with some questions and answers. What's been really good to see is the full technical officiating function come to life inside the solution. This was never a technology that was going to serve one part of technical officiating, and we've seen good traction inside the categories of score table and statistics, and really is coming to fruition, BV's vision about wrapping up the entire fraternity in one central platform, knowing that each of these categories have different registration requirements and amounts, and the fact that as officials, we're quite transient between different roles within officiating. A quick notion on distribution of the funds. Very quickly, those that have been using the refbook Lite platform to process its local registrations will have these funds being released as of next week. The caveat to that is we need bank details updated in the system in your refbook Lite portal. So if you are expecting some fees to be paid out because you have been using Lite for your local requirements, please make sure the bank details are sitting there in the system, and then we can release those funds to you. Wanted to recap on phase one of the core features. And anytime we get new technology, we'd love it to do everything right now. Of course, that's not the way it works. And as I said, there's a couple of reasons for phasing our development. So phase one was mostly around capturing financial payments. It was around the registration fees, either from Federation, Basketball Victoria, or branches, being facilitated in an online solution. It was about allowing registration to take place across all the myriad of officiating combinations that exists, not just in Basketball Victoria, but in sports officiating in general. So that has been achieved. The opportunity for an official to be multi-category, multi-branch, while also acknowledging things like life membership and also past or temporary members that may no longer be within your organisation is all part of phase one. Clearly, being able to manage member lists and their status was a high priority in phase one, because getting that is the first step towards eventually what registration will be triggered or issued to your members. Having users update their contact details in the system, I think, will be a work in progress. We've seen some organisations and their membership base really gravitate to the notion of updating details in their own profile. However, there's also some feedback around some additional education or direction to support materials will help that roll out. So in some situations, the registration component's been working really nicely. However, the visibility of contact details has been restrained by the adoption of the individual officials to do their thing of updating contact details via their profile. And we have the basic reporting out now. So core features, phase one is here and now we look to the future. The expanded features is a result of BV's original scoping towards what this technical officials registration platform could and should be able to do for their ecosystem. However, there's some things that have already been put forward by the branches that has influenced where we're taking the Lite platform. We know that this Lite platform is something that's been issued to branches, and really that has to be designed to provide value over and above just the basic registration requirement for federation fees. So the features now is about certainly facilitating what BV needs out of branches, but giving a range of new functionality that'll help branches organise their own officials management should they want to. Federation registration. So when we say expanding on this, this will be giving additional visibility to branches about which of their members have paid the Basketball Victoria registration fee. This is all happening in the background right now. So we know that branches would like some additional visibility over which parts of their membership base still needs to pay that. An official doesn't have to process all officials in the one hit. So for example, they may have gone ahead and processed the local registration fees, if applicable, but not yet done the Basketball Victoria one. And clearly you guys would like some visibility over that, even though, as I said, it is happening in the background. And Joe can certainly see the participation rates of federation fees, but we would now like to put that in the hands of local branches. There'll be some additions to the reporting, and there's not that many reports that are relevant to managing officiating membership lists. It's mostly reporting around finances and assignment, where we see the evolution from our reporting module, but we do have a couple of quick wins that'll help the basic membership and registration management. Communication has been a big feature on our radar, both for the officiating registration platform, but also our other tiered packages that involve assigning. So I'll update you on where communication sits. And on the back of communication, the in-portal notifications. We know that that is a big ticket item for not just people using the refbook Lite platform, but for our other organisations. Role-based access is about enhancing refbook's permission set and really giving the primary administrator of your branch granular power to manage the visibility of sensitive parts of refbook Lite. So at the moment, those that have been issued credentials to refbook will be able to see everything. However, we know that there are different parts of your branch that may be specialising in certain areas, and therefore we should be able to limit the controls or limit the visibility permissions to that. Qualification management, a big ticket item. So we have some phase one qualification management inside refbook Lite. It's mostly being used by people that are also using this for refbook for their assignment functionality. However, qualification management is a phased approach and will be influenced by Basketball Victoria's request So I'll talk to that in a second. The reporting function. So on screen, we have the basic reports that are out of the box. And really, for those that are only using refbook for the registration requirement, you're looking at the member area. And the number one report for you is the membership report, which is, as it sounds, it is a complete list of people inside your organisation and their statuses. So additional data will go into that report, including the federation fees, as well as identification things like working with children's check. This will be the one-stop report for you to see at a bird's eye level, everyone in the org, their status, their payment status for federations, and any other identification. The other thing with reporting is around some PDF improvements. Right now, the reporting is good for Excel and raw data. However, for summary reports, we really like to see that delivered as PDF. So some of our reports already inside refbook are PDF ready. However, we'll expand this to the membership one. Member comms is a big feature and really trying to round out that holistic administrative benefit of refbook Lite. So the communication module inside refbook currently serves those that are added to what we call panel groups and officiating groups. However, we hadn't built it yet for membership groups. So quite simply, the communication part of your refbook Lite platform will allow you to email your member lists, any filtered list that you would like. So it will use your current email provider, like an Outlook or a mail, and populate their email addresses ready for you to write your email note. That is a basic level of member communication. We are exploring things like create your own emails inside the platform as well. However, we're finding that most organisations enjoy their own email client and really just want to see the email addresses and filter the groups of people they want to communicate to, rather than refbook being the solution to build that message. Portal notifications will be a very common method of communication. And what we're seeing on screen is a very early mock-up of that function. So the notification module inside refbook will be alerting both officials and administrators to things happening inside the refbook platform. So it may be invitations to organisations, it may be notifications and reminders that there are some registration fees due. And for those that are also using refbook for assigning, it'll be things like new appointments and expense payment received. So portal notifications will be happening both on the browser and also the mobile app. Role-based access is an important feature for those that are looking to have better security or better controls over who sees what. So it's often not just a single primary administrator that is looking after the refbook platform. There are specialists in the finance department, there are specialists in the education or the qualification parts of the department, and also general administrators that might be looking after competition schedules, for example. The role-based access module will allow you to build roles and profiles for you to then assign those to the relevant administrators who are working refbook for your organisation. Once you make roles, you will then be able to toggle on very granular settings across the key metrics. So in this case, it could be reporting, it could be looking at organisation memberships, it could be status updates and changing the profile of your members. You, as the primary administrator, will be able to create the profiles that have permission settings and then edit those. They may be view-based settings, or they may be full create or edit-based settings. So very detailed, granular control, very common to other CRM or other technologies that have this ability to manage who's seeing what. Qualification management. This will be a multi-phase approach again. We will be starting with the BV-led qualifications that will be sitting ready for you as branches to manage the licensing for your members. So again, tied to the concept of categories, we know there are different qualifications aligned with this. So on screen, for example, there are qualifications associated with referees, referee coach, score table, statisticians, and potentially even supervisors. So these are high-level categories that then have their own list of underlying licenses or qualifications. So at this stage, as I said, this will be a predefined list of qualifications with, of course, the ability for local branches to make their own qualifications. How that works for the branches is that you will be able to add different qualifications per category against every one of your members. This will allow you to have multiple categories and their qualifications assigned to individuals, but it will also allow you to update the qualification changes that happen over time. So a B grader turns into an A grader. What does that look like inside refbook? And then further details to help track the history. So who approved that? When was it attained? Any supporting documentation, perhaps it's a certificate on the back of a school that's been run. And if required, what is the expiry or the renewal dates associated with that qualification management? This will be the first phase around this solution. It will then have some further functionality really around connecting to Basketball Victoria. So again, with the notion of allowing the Federation to assist branches better manage things like qualifications, which we know is a fiddly, time-consuming and sometimes subjective task, it'll be allowing the Federation to better control and facilitate this module. That's a very high level around the future roadmap for the Light platform and in consultation with, as I said, Basketball Victoria and the branches. I now wanted to shift gears to the support that's available for branches, and we'll focus just on those that are only using refbook for refbook Light. Of course, there's a whole host of support for those that are using it for the other features such as assigning. The support for branches is something that we are continually updating and fine-tuning. So there are basically two different pillars of support for branches. The first is PDF-based documents. So right at the start, we did email all the primary administrators a user guide, a quick start guide, and an FAQs document. We then also sent an updated of those. So these would have been links that were sitting in an email for branches to go and access. That is one format of support. We know that people sometimes enjoy reading in their own time and following along different areas as they configure the platform. However, for those looking for an online solution, it is the picture on the right-hand side. It's the support center that refbook has. In the support center, and I'll go through the sections and we'll even have a look in real time about what the support center looks like. You're accessing online materials. You're also accessing the latest materials, and these are constantly getting updated and tweaked. They're very quick for refbook to push out new materials, and it's often on the back of feedback that Joe has passed on to us. Perhaps there was a support article that was light on, perhaps there was a support article that's missing and needs to be addressed, but it's very nimble for us to continually update the support catalogue. In the support centre, we have the knowledge base, which is the article library for people to look through, and these are really snippets of the left-hand side's user guides and quick start guides. So these are very specific articles. We then have support tickets and we have videos. For the official side, quite similar. They again have PDF materials, and those materials are accessed via the registration hub that is currently on the VBRA website. This was something that was stood up right at the start of this whole rollout and is available for them to read these PDFs. But they too have access to the support centre and again, knowledge base, the ability to raise support tickets and videos. For those that haven't logged in already, so the centre is at support.refbook.com.au. This is a different website to the overall solution. It's a website that is requiring a login, and for those that haven't done already, you will need to create your own personal login at this destination. It'll be a different login. You can use your same emails and passwords, but it is a login specifically to the support centre. For those that haven't yet done the onboarding to refbook, this will be one of the first things that you should do, and to get familiar with the support centre, because it'll help you as you're onboarding. A lot of the questions that Joe is facing are often represented inside the support centre, either in an article or a video. So it is a great resource. It's available for you 24/7. The knowledge base, as I said, is the library of online articles. It's where you can go into any number of topics, find a specific question and get that answered in quick, easy to understand language. You can search for the topic you're needing help with. And as I said, it constantly gets updated as we get feedback on where to embellish the support. The support desk is also a popular item, and it's been good to see the questions coming through from both branches and officials. These are one-on-one tickets that can be raised and that are answered by the support team at refbook. So feel free, if you're finding something that you're struggling with, that you would like some explanation on, ping the support team a ticket. So I know Joe has been a great resource and is still essentially the #1 port of call. However, for things that are tick and flick, that you think you probably just need a quick explanation, please raise a support ticket. We're finding most of the traffic through these tickets are really around officials' access to the system. So we're talking password resets, login, troubleshooting, not as much on the configuration facilitation. That's typically being handled by Joe from the feedback we've been getting. What I want to do now is flick straight to the support centre and show everyone what exactly you can find when you log in. So here we are at the support centre. So again, the URL is support.refbook.com.au. You'll see here straight away you can start typing for knowledge base, or you can raise a ticket from the home screen. You can even do some feature requests here. If you haven't already, you will only be able to see certain parts of the knowledge base. So my comment around signing up is really important. Once you have login credentials, you'll be accepted into some hidden parts of the knowledge base. So I'm logged in at the moment. If I wasn't logged in, I would only be able to see the officials part of the knowledge base. This is the ready to access part of the support centre that all of your officials get access to and should be encouraged to visit for everything to do with the registration, how to pay, how to manage their contact details, how to update their passwords. This is the home base for your officials. If you're an assigner, a primary administrator, you'll get access to other sections of the knowledge base. So for those that are using refbook for assignments, you'll be added to this group. And for those that are only using for refbook Lite, you'll be added to the registration or the talk part of the knowledge base. When we click into here, you can see there's a number of different categories. And this is the very quick articles for each of the broad topics. Getting started is a great place for everyone to go to. There's quick start guides. There's an introduction to some of the important principles around being an affiliate branch inside a larger network. Then also into specific topics around registration, membership, reporting, and finances. If we go to the membership one, for example, it'll be everything to do with configuring the platform for the categories and the member types and the status. And this is both for if you're using refbook only for Basketball Victoria registration requirements, or you're also using it for any local registration needs. If we go into the registration section, this is around setting registration fees, the financial processing of transaction fees, some of the new functionality around paying federation fees on behalf of members, all contained in here. And then finally, if you wanted to look at some videos, a dedicated section to tutorials. So these are very quick hit videos that have been recorded on configuration. Again, both those that or organisations that are only using this for the federation, or the branches that are seeking to have refbook Lite solve their local registration requirements. We've also put in the video that the officials sees to educate them on the workflow that individuals will be going through once they start paying for registrations. We do have a number of videos that are about to be uploaded to help the officials. So very, very basic videos around password setting, logging in, updating contact details. They will be added to the officials section of this knowledge base, but this registration or talk part of the knowledge base will be a great source of information for those branches looking to have configuration assistance. Hopefully that explains some of the support. Joe, if you've got any questions taken to date, happy to answer those now. Otherwise, we can pass over and start doing the demonstration.
Thanks, John. I've been able to answer some of the questions in the chat, which have been pretty straightforward. Without wanting to open a can of worms, does anyone have anything that's not very specific to their situation, but generally on what we've presented so far, keeping in mind that Troy's about to do a live demonstration of the system? Do you want to stop sharing, John, for us for a sec? Thanks. I'll take that silence as golden, which is great. However, having said that, for those that have seen the system and are really confident within it, there isn't a need for you to stay on the line. However, as the system is continually evolving, it's always great to get a most current update. But for those that do leave us, I really do thank you for your time tonight. I'm only a phone call away, and hopefully we can get everyone in the system and operating with confidence before the end of August, when that early bird feature ends. So I will hand over to Troy for that live demonstration. Continue to put your questions in the chat and I will do my best to answer them while Troy is giving his demonstration.
Joe, I'll just say something for those that are keen to learn more about the platform, about the services agreement and that workflow. Most of the feedback we're getting around the signing of the services agreement is that people aren't actioning the emails that should be in their inbox and therefore processing the signing in a timely manner, or they're not understanding that once it goes to the first signatory, so the signatory that is provided by the branch, it then gets automatically sent to the next in line, which is the witness. So once it comes to the authorised representative, it gets signed, it gets processed automatically to the next in line, it then gets signed by refbook. So the biggest things that we're finding, people aren't doing their thing quick enough and therefore it expires for security reasons, or they're not sure who the next in line is and therefore worrying that it might not be sitting with the organisation. So if you have any concerns, people have been reaching out to Joe about where the current signing is sitting, and I appreciate the fact that primary administrators may not necessarily be the people that have been charged to sign it. So you might be waiting on your GM or your treasurer to do the signing, whereas you're sitting there ready to go and start configuring the platform. So Joe has visibility on where the current blockage is. If it seems to be taking some time, potentially it's expired because nobody did anything in a timely fashion.
I think to add to that, John, which is great, is that if you find that the people that were originally nominated to be those key people are no longer relevant, you just need to do the registration account, which I can send you at any point. So if your personnel changes or who you thought would be the relevant person is no longer the person, you can just resubmit that account registration and refbook will update from their end.
Thanks, Joe. I'll get Troy ready to go through the demo.
Hi everyone, thanks for that, John and Joe. I'm just going to touch on, I've got a couple of screens open, so I'll touch on some specifics of the demo. And obviously, please shoot through questions to Joe if you've got any as we're going. And I might be able to touch on them through, so Joe, don't be afraid to interrupt me. If there is anything specific you want me to specifically show for anyone. But if it's, something, I suppose, that is particular about your organisation or your configuration or something that you are stuck on, if you save that to the end, then we can go through those. So I suppose just the first screen that I'm showing here is the homepage of refbook. I notice I am in our UAT environment. That's deliberate for this particular demonstration. What I wanted to show you here is that a member of your organisation may already have an account created in refbook. And they can simply do that by selecting create an account. It will literally ask them for their email address, their first name and their surname. It will ask them to accept terms and conditions. Please note, we do track those terms and conditions. So if there are any modifications, we can obviously, for privacy and security reasons, make sure that they're accepting the right terms and conditions and when they accept them. That is the same for any organisation in refbook. You have an ability to add your own terms and conditions for your organisation. Those terms and conditions, sorry about that. Those terms and conditions are particular for your organisation, and we do track those as well. So if you update them over time, we do track that the members accept them and do re-request those. Once that registration's been created, every single user within the system needs to have a unique email address. So that does create some challenges for historical reasons where parents may want to use their email address for multiple children. We do understand that. You know, I'm a parent as well. But they do need their own email address. We are working on a solution at the moment where we can provide visibility for parents into children's accounts for things like notification reminders and things like that. If they are younger kids who are not quite up to speed with remembering when they have appointments, that will be here over the next few months. So moving forward from there, once that registration's been accepted by the user, that they will get prompted for usernames and passwords. Do note that they can link it also to their Gmail account. We do have Apple, Microsoft and Facebook coming online as well soon, but at the moment it's just Gmail integration or Google integration. So moving on to the platform, from an administrative point of view, you can see here I'm logged in as an organisation. I will touch on what all of these screens are, but as you can see on the landing page, me as a particular user, I have fees due for test organisation. So that is a prompt that is there. It's visible for each member. If they click on that, it'll go through the payment gateway process based on your organisational configuration, and I will do that a little bit later on in the presentation. What I wanted to show you here is in an organisation that I'm setting up, we have a membership list, okay, which is here. This membership list is exactly that, just a membership list of your organisation. It can have historical members and current members in it. We have a plus button here, which allows you as an organisation to invite an individual member yourself and send them that additional email link if they didn't register the other way. Obviously through there, type in their email address, put their status in, whether they're an active member, and any registration categories that may be configured. There is a bulk upload utility here and a download template. If I select this download template box, it'll download an Excel spreadsheet. I can then fill in all of that information, again, primarily focused around first name, surname, email address, their membership types and their categories. And I can then hit this upload button here, and that will allow me to drag and drop the Excel spreadsheet into here and upload bulk members. If you are having trouble with uploading, you know, don't be afraid to reach out to Joe or refbook, and we'll help you through that process. Once I've got my members in here, you can see in particular the date that they joined refbook. You'll also, in other reports, be able to see the last login dates of them in the system. So if they've logged in the last couple of days, you'll be able to see that as well. And you can see that in some of the membership reports that I'll touch on a little bit later. Once a member has joined refbook or your organisation, the key next steps for them is to update their profile. And that's this little section in the top right-hand corner here, where I can click on this link, I can see my profile, I can click on my name. That will take me into the profile settings. Understand With refbook, we are aware of privacy and sensitivity. So we do have some privacy settings here where I can control who can see my mobile number and also who can see my email address. Understand, in that particular environment, the assigner of an organisation or the administrator will always be able to see that information. So they can't hide it from you. But they can fill out all of their details here. If they move through to identification, obviously this is the working with children's check information. We need a photograph of their working with children's check identity card. If they have a police card or an education card, they can upload those as well into this working with children's check image. We are having a box here to identify that very shortly. It was something that BV did mention a couple of weeks ago. So they'll enter their expiry date, their working with children's check number, their referee license number is their old legacy VBRA number, which BV have requested that we can start capturing that before we move to the new system. Obviously, there's some other information in here around organisation linking, payments and travel, and they're related also to other parts of refbook. The security section is something I wanted to touch on. We have the ability to change people's email addresses. So if they're a student and their email addresses change, once they've logged into the system, they can update their email address at any point in time and move to the new email address. They can update their passwords, and additionally, they can add some security questions and things like that around privacy if they want to further protect their information. And again, two-step verification there, which is around multi-factor. But once they've updated those details, they are fully visible to the organisation. I mentioned terms and conditions earlier. It is important for privacy, and I'm sure BV will go through this at a later stage. It's important for privacy that if you are potentially sharing your information with other organisations, that you do list those in your terms and conditions. They are set up here under organisational preferences and are related specifically to your organisation only. So you just enable this tab here, type customise, and you can type those terms and conditions out. Once I have members in my system, the next couple of steps are very much around what this member does within my organisation. So you can see here the membership type. Joe and Basketball Victoria have sent out a list of what membership types should be configured as for each of the categories and each of the payment types. You can see here there's full, partial, life, social, temporary. That is who they are for your organisation. Under status, obviously we've got here active, inactive, pending, deceased, paused, anomalised. Anomalised is something that is important. If you would like, if a user does request anomalisation, effectively you won't see their data. You won't see their name, address, phone number, email address. refbook will actually hash all of that data from your organisation. The next part that is really important is these categories. The categories are based on an organisational configuration. They have been preset for every organisation, but you can update them as you need. If we go into organisational preferences and we go to registration, I've got a couple here configured. In a normal organisation, I'll just go here. If I can just borrow Casey for a second, you'll see that under registration, there are beginner trainee, referee, referee educator, score table educator, statistician, which BB and Joe have already previously listed out. You can see here the ones that have been predefined as being should be paying fees within the Victorian network, and also ones that should be paying fees within the Federation fee to Basketball Victoria. There are a couple that are not, and Joe can go through the details of what the rules are for that. Sorry. So moving on. Each of these categories is set up. You'll see there's a federation fee that it's linked to. You can see that a fee within my local branch that it is linked to. A fee type. This is single and stacking. Stacking, I wouldn't worry about at the moment, but if you have multiple fees that might, I suppose, add up together, that's what stacking is. And obviously you need to decide if your organisation is covering the transaction fee or if the member is. If the member is, just slide that bar on. The category fees are the next most important thing. These are category fees relating to your local branch. So as you can see here, while a normal organisation only has one category fee and it is preset to $0, I won't change that. Some branch affiliation fees have more amounts set up. I've set up a multi-tiered approach here, which is something that some organisations have set up, where we have a normal fee that is $20, and for some members who are under 18, we've set up a smaller fee. I can set up registration categories, and I'll particularly say that this is for my under 18 categories, noting the membership types and statuses that will be charged at. Okay, once I've got that, John did mention, once you start collecting money, the first thing that organisations would like is to receive money back. You need to fill out this payout details, your BSB number and your account for your organisation. Obviously, as an administrator, it's important that you check with your organisation as to where they would like that money paid out to. Both administrators and the financial controller of your organisation will be informed when a payout is made, just so you know. Moving forward, around your membership categories, and I did mention individual membership categories, you can do that individually one by one by pressing the information button over here and configuring that here. Or alternatively, if you would like to do a batch update, you can select one or multiple users, navigate down to the bottom and do a bulk change. And that way you can update the membership type, status, and the registration categories for all of your members within an organisation. If you did it as part of the bulk upload or the initial individual registration process, that will already be filled out. Once that's filled out and you've got an understanding of your categories, your membership types, and things like that, you need to, as a branch, make a decision around is it the responsibility of the member to pay the federation fee, or as a branch, am I paying the federation fee on behalf of either some membership types or all membership types? If I choose membership, the member is to pay the fee directly to Basketball Victoria and pay my branch fee if there is any. This is the configuration that I need to set up, and that is all I need to do. Once your members are added and your categories of membership types and statuses are added, it will automatically start processing those transactions for you. If I do want to go a little bit further and have and pay on behalf of some members, e.g. life members, or have all of my members paid for on behalf of my organisation, this is where I need to do additional configuration. To do that, I firstly need to contact Basketball Victoria if I am paying on behalf of all of my members. If I'm paying on behalf of some, that will already be configured, and I'll show you how that works. Under Network, Organisational Linking, I can come into the full list of all of the child organisations within the Basketball Victoria network. As you'll see, primary contact, email address, and phone number of those organisations are currently hidden, but there is some conversations happening around that and what communication should happen to those people. I can click on my Basketball Victoria organisation, hit the information button, and I can see here that pay federation fees on behalf of members is ready to be enabled. if I enable that for my members, I can then pick which membership types I want to pay on behalf of. So as you can see here, I am only going to pay on behalf of life members. The rest of the members within my organisation will need to pay directly to Basketball Victoria themselves. If I click on this little wallet here, it'll take me back to the payment section. So I will just do that so you can see. And as I can see here, in my test organisation, Emily Cameron has already paid $12. An outstanding fee of $12. That is because I've enabled her as a life member. I'll look up Emily Cameron here. She's a life member, and as such, I am responsible as the organisation to pay on behalf of her. Go on federation fees. I can see the outstanding amounts. I can click on Emily and pay her transaction fee. Okay, I'll run through the payment gateway steps now so you can see what it looks like for a user. I'll enter my credit card information. And I'll pay the transaction fee. And the process for paying on behalf of my members, one or multiple, is as simple as that. Do understand at the moment, we do only accept through this payment gateway the credit card, or if you have Google Pay, you can do that, but other payment types are coming online in the next couple of months. Once I've paid the fee, the transaction will process in the background, and I'll get sent back to the payment page, and it can confirm that I've paid on behalf of my member. Again, that's the life member. Okay. So that's it. And if I come to paid, I can see the details around when that was done. Okay. Registration as an individual member of my organisation, if I do need to pay directly to the organisation, I'll come in here to the due button and go through the exact same process. I can see I'm a full member, so I've got my $20 branch fee to pay. I'll click next. I'll proceed to payment. I can have a look at my summary if I'd like to, and I'll pay my branch fee. I won't necessarily go through that process. I'll just cancel it. If I do cancel it, please note I have 30 minutes to retry that transaction, and the system will hold it. So it'll let me know that I've got it. That's just to keep in mind. That's in case a credit card may not work or I don't have it handy with me. Okay, so that's the basic steps of how to pay on behalf of a member and how to get my members to pay both the federation fee and the registration fee for my local branch. Refbook will then basically accept that money through the payment gateway, and once it has gone through, we will transfer the money, if you've filled out those bank details, back to your organisation and the relevant federation fee back to Basketball Victoria. Before I continue on any further, Joe, is there any specific questions around payments that you'd like to ask?
No, we're all good there for the moment.
Right, okay. So obviously we mentioned things about receiving money. Do note that the money, and as I mentioned before, in your organisational preferences, we do have additional assigners here. So any additional people that you want to get notifications around those payments that go back to your branch, and on the form that you filled out at the start, you will have mentioned ideally a financial controller, and they will also be informed of that payment when that happens. A couple of the other things I wanted to show you through the system is around membership reporting. Under reports here, while there are a number of reports here around assignment and financial controlling, the main membership report that most refbook Lite organisational members will use is this membership report down the bottom. They can run it via Excel or export it into PDF. It does look like this, and this is the information that it will provide you. So you'll see first name, last name, the email address, phone number, the date they joined your organisation, their last logged in date, the last time they were assigned to a game, obviously any panel groups or anything like that, their licenses that they might be available to. If they are 18 years or old or over, obviously those under 18 don't necessarily need working with children's checks.
You've just cut out, Troy. Your voice. Troy, we can't hear you. Well, for what Troy was describing is that the if it says NA, they haven't put their date of birth in. I think he's lost us.
The first one being resources. Resources is a section where you, as an organisation, can add things like video clips, anything that might be related to YouTube, Huddle, or Vimeo. You can add file links or hyperlinks to other websites. They might be around FIBA rule links. So if I click on that, I'll bounce out to the FIBA rules page. So that's readily available for your members. And if they have the mobile app, obviously they can access that on the mobile phone straight away to get access to that data and information. You can publish that to particular groups within your organisation, so it doesn't have to be everybody. So that's a nice little additional resource, very good for education if you have particulars in the domestic space around how you'd like the game called. The next one I wanted to show you is just around communication, which John mentioned. This is a new section we've made available in refbook Lite. At the moment, if you see this area as blank, that's okay. In the next 2 weeks, you'll see this membership list fill up and will allow you to communicate directly with your members within your organisation. The first phase, as John mentioned, is via email. The second phase, which will start to roll out in the next 4 weeks, will be in-app communication as well. Okay, that's pretty much the nuts and bolts of refbook Lite. If there's any questions, Joe?
I'll just, if you stop sharing for a sec. So one of the things I just wanted to point out there, that it can be quite overwhelming to hear all that information at once, especially if this is the first time you're seeing the system. It's the reason we're recording this. It's also the reason that we've got the knowledge base, and it's also the reason that my phone number is readily available to everyone. So I just want to make sure everyone's really comfortable in reaching out if they need to. Also understanding that once you've set everything up, and this is a new process and a new platform, so setup is always going to be a little bit more laborious for the first time. But once you've done that, the ongoing maintenance of the system becomes really straightforward. So even though right now we're going through a phase of learning lots of new nuances, and there's a method to the madness in why there's so many different elements to the system, it's because we've got that long-term vision of where we need it to go. So I just want everyone to feel confident in reaching out if they need to, and leaning on that resource centre and looking back at this video in your own time at your own pace. I did notice a moment there when Troy showed the spreadsheet that everyone over the age of 40 leant forward to see the data, which I count myself in the same category as that. But it's really good to see that everyone's here tonight trying to learn it and really wants to do the right thing. And that's why I want to make sure that everyone knows that I'm here if you need. So a couple of things that Troy maybe just touch on is that seems one of the things that came through the chat was that forgot my password or my username's not working, and I ask for a new password and it doesn't always come through. Can you just talk to that for a bit, Troy?
Yeah, so obviously email can be, from a technical point of view, a somewhat tricky beast of late, and obviously everyone will have heard words like spam and phishing and things like that. Security around email is really important. So sometimes users can have email going to junk mail, they can have email blocked, and refbook uses a subscription-based approach, so users can unassign themselves from the refbook email. So there's many reasons why email may or may not be delivered. So just get the user to send a ticket through to the help desk, and the help desk will be able to help them anytime, day or night, and reset their accounts and make sure that their emails are not ending up in spam or any other reason for bouncing, and clean up that issue for the user.
I think it's also important to mention about the help desk that given that this is a new process and a new platform, sometimes it can get inundated, and refbook is not Apple. They don't have an unlimited supply of people helping them out. So again, I think at the end of my presentation, I just mentioned to have a little patience throughout this process. And we really are trying to support not only you as the primary administrators, but association queries, individual referee, score table, statistician queries. And we are really doing the best we can to try and get this up and running in the best interest of officials going forward for the state.
Yeah, and probably one thing I'd add to that, Joe, is the help desk is there. And so it is beneficial for you and your time as you're trying to set up a refbook and consume some of that available time that you've got, that you get the member to go directly to the help desk themselves for that, rather than funneling all of that through either yourself or through Joe, because they can deal with them one-on-one and it stops the relaying of messages. There has been times when obviously that's not possible, so don't be afraid to reach out, but obviously the more empowered you make your members, the better off they will be in the long run.
So if anyone has got anything that they feel comfortable saying out loud that's pretty generic, I'm happy to take any queries. People have been putting it in the chat and I've been responding as required. Does anyone have anything that they think is relevant to the whole group? No, well, just can't thank everyone enough. I mean, obviously this is a big undertaking, and we're really grateful. I would assume that 80% of the people on the call are volunteers, giving up their own time. Everyone's struggling in and out of lockdown. I mentioned earlier, jealous of the country, but so rapt to see people participating in basketball that can, and hopefully Metro is not too far behind. We are here. If anyone needs to reach out, having a tough time, only a phone call away. And just thank you again for being here tonight, and look forward to working with you going forward. Thank you to John and Troy for their presentation.
Sorry about that. Can I just add one thing to that?
Yep.
I think it's just really important to add, refbook is only ever as good as the feedback we get back. And Joe's been really critical to that process, and so is BB and Catherine around getting that information from everybody about how they'd like it set up. We really want this product, and we do know that there is a bit of setup in the initial phase, but it's not just for now, it's for next year and beyond. And we want to reduce the time it takes you guys to manage this, and we really do need your feedback. The more feedback we get, the better this product will be for you guys. So thank you.
Awesome. All right, well, enjoy the rest of your evening, and to those playing on the weekend and everything, have a great experience, and we'll catch up. As I said, I think once we finish this early bird finishes 31st of August. So encourage your members to get into the system and pay their fees so they don't miss out. Reach out to me if you need. Thanks, everyone. Have a
One
great
quick
night.
question.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
How often does refbook send out reminders to our members?
Yes, at present, we have a once a week. We've delayed the response. It's once a week. Moving forward, once Joe informs us, there'll be a 30-day reminder prior to a registration category going out to let them know that it is coming. And then post that, it will happen every 2 weeks. There'll be a reminder that they need to pay.
And
Okay. Currently once a week. What day of the week? And will there be one reminding people that of the 31 end of this month's deadline?
Yeah, so John, next week, as of Monday, the email will go out to all officials saying that the 31st of August finishes the early bird. And for those that haven't yet had relevance to refbook or their association hasn't reached out, they need to fill out that cognito form that I spoke about earlier. So that's a statewide campaign that we'll deliver through email and through Facebook, so that all officials know that the early bird finishes the 31st. If they haven't spoken to their association or don't know about refbook, they need to fill out that cognito form.
And I just checked in, the next reminder goes out tomorrow morning. I believe it's 8 a.m.
Any other questions similar to John or anything?
I guess just from the referee's perspective and using the app, will we get the chance to maybe even submit like a feedback form on how we could probably improve the app? Through my experience, like it's been very good. Like it's a very rewarding app. It's very easy to use, but obviously I would have some feedback on how I would change things and make it better. So will we get the chance maybe at like the end of the year to do that?
Yeah, definitely. And if you want to submit feedback at any point in time, if you send it to support@refbook.com, that's the help desk. They literally keep track of that. Any outstanding items that you may have requested that they push through the development team and the development team accepts, or even just put it on the backlog, they will literally keep track of your email until it's released.
Okay, sounds good.
Sorry, can I just ask one question? Are there any processing fees associated with the collection of branch fees? Like Play HQ, we get charged a processing fee. Is there a processing fee with this process?
Yes, definitely. And every payment gateway has a processing fee.
And do we know what that percentage is?
We matched Play HQs.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. And as Troy mentioned earlier, you can choose to absorb that as an organisation or put that onto your member. That's up to you. As Basketball Victoria, we're absorbing that fee.
Great, thank you.
That's okay. Anything else from anyone? Fantastic. As I said, only an email or phone call away. I will endeavour to get back to you as soon as I can. And thanks all again. Have a great night.